Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Now, every day on the John Campea Show, that's the show we do every morning. It's our main movie news show. We save a little bit of time for some live questions, but here on Open Mic, it's all we do is some live questions. Got a whole bunch of stuff I'm sure we're going to go over today. You know what? I just watched the first couple of episodes of Cloak and Dagger. And I'm going to put up a review for it a little bit, either later today or tomorrow, depending on how my schedule goes today. Because I want to play a little bit more Warcraft today, too. But yeah, that, I got to say, better than I thought. And again, I'll go into that in my review a little bit later. But hey, like I said, guys, this is a show for all live questions. It's Friday, so we're going to have today's show be a little bit shorter than normal, just because I want to get a jump start on the weekend. And by jump start on the weekend, I mean I want to play some Warcraft before Ann gets home for us to go to that Tom Hanks play tonight. So I want to get a little bit of Warcraft later. So I'm going to cut today's show just a little bit short, if you guys don't mind too terribly much. All right, with that out of the way, let's dive into it. And the first thing today, it comes to us from ZOMG Ruler, who writes, a pundit named Man of Steel worst film of 2013. Extreme. Oh, so what? There's 1,000 pundits out there. There's more than 1,000 pundits out there, and all film is subjective. There are pundits out there who I'm sure is going to say A Quiet Place is the worst film of 2018. So it's not even worth talking about. Like, it's irrelevant. Who cares? Film's subjective. There's thousands of pundits. Just because one said one thing, we shouldn't be surprised. Like I said, there's going to be a pundit or two out there that say A Quiet Place is the worst film of the year. So, yeah, not even worth talking about. ZOMG follows up with, I2 and WIR2 trailers haven't worked for me, Redbox. I'm going to guess you mean Incredibles 2 and Wreck-It Ralph 2? Really? They haven't worked for you? Well, hey, more to you. I mean, that's why all film is subjective. I'm going to go see Incredibles 2 tomorrow morning. Very excited. I think the review embargo lifts on Monday. I want to say Monday is when the review embargo lifts. So I'll put up my review on Monday. I'm sure I'll put up my reactions tomorrow afternoon for Incredibles 2. But everything, I know about 12 people that have seen it already, and all of them are raving about it. So if the trailer's not working for you, well, I guess that's fine. But I mean, I'm hearing amazing things. So, but hey, that's why all film's subjective. Not everything works for everybody. Luna Comics writes, some people are saying that Disney is to blame for toxic fans for making divisive Star Wars movies. Thoughts? Bullshit. That's a cop-out. Don't tell me, oh, a bad movie made you call other people names. Don't tell me a bad movie made you call, Kelly Marie Tran Ching Chong Chink Chank. A bad movie didn't make you do that. So shut up. You're pathetic. Anybody who says that is pathetic. That's pathetic. A bad movie doesn't make anybody act toxic. All right? A bad movie makes you go, if a movie is bad to you, makes you go, I didn't like that movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. A good movie makes you go, like, a bad movie does not make you act like an asshole. So anybody who says that, immediately you can ignore them because nothing valuable is going to come out of their mouths. Let's see. Ben Rayner writes, movie club on Sunday. That's the plan. The plan is we're going to be doing Gladiator on Sunday. Fingers crossed nothing goes wrong. Now, you guys know I withhold the right to make some last second schedule changes. Everything's going fine, but most of you guys know my mom is still in the hospital. She's still in intensive care. So I reserve the right to make any changes to my schedule that may come up. But as far as I can tell, everything looks like it's smooth sailing to movie club on Sunday. So if you haven't had a chance to watch Gladiator yet, make sure you still got a couple days. Make sure you watch Gladiator before we do our movie club on Sunday. Let's see. Matthew Alvis writes, have you seen Hereditary? Can we expect a review? No, I won't be doing a review for Hereditary because I haven't seen it yet. As you guys know, this week was stacked busy for me. I had 4 films I had to see this week on top of everything else. Tonight, I was planning on seeing Hereditary, but I have responsibilities as a husband to go with my wife to this Tom Hanks show she wants to go see with Tom Hanks. So I got to do that, so I can't see it tonight. Tomorrow, I've already got plans. Like, I'm seeing Incredibles 2 in the morning, and then I have work to do in the afternoon, and then I've got a UFC party tomorrow night. So I can't see. So now we're into Sunday. And my general rule of thumb, if I can't put up a review for a movie within 24 hours that it releases, then it's not worth doing. I mean, it's just the reality of it. I could spend all those hours preparing, recording, editing, uploading a Hereditary review, but the fact of the matter is, then it would get no views. And so there's no point, which sucks, is this is, you guys know, I've been talking about this movie for over like almost a month and a half now. I've been dying to see this movie, but I have not been able to, I wasn't available because of the stuff with my mom to go to any press screenings. I couldn't go when it opened. I'm not able to go tonight. I'm probably not able to go tomorrow. So now we're on Sunday when the film's already been in theater for 3 days. Nobody's looking for reviews 3 days after the movie hits. So hopefully I'm going to see it this weekend sometime. And not to mention we have book club on Sunday, so there goes that. But no, I probably won't be doing a review because it's too late. It's just too late to do a review, unfortunately. Let's see. Vrinder Singh writes, after Avatar and Terminator Salvation, I really thought Sam Worthington would go on to be a huge Hollywood action star. I know he's done other movies since, but not anything big, any big blockbusters. Why is this? Well, I mean, there are 50,000, literally, 50,000 actors vying for these big movie roles. There's about 20 to go around. That's why. So, like, sometimes we as movie fans, we think in terms of, oh, that guy's famous, therefore he can do anything. And if something huge doesn't happen for them next, something must be wrong. The reality is there's 50,000 other leading men actors out there fighting and scratching and clawing for those jobs and for those gigs and for those roles. Just because Sam Worthington was in a couple of big films, that doesn't instantly make him A-list, you know? So it's not really a question about why didn't he do more. It's like, well, because it didn't. Like it doesn't happen for 99.9%. I mean, look, Sam Worthington has already had a much more successful career than 99.9999999% of actors who pursue their dream in Hollywood. Sam Worthington's already had a much bigger career than any of them ever will. But that doesn't mean you're going to have a career like a Brad Pitt. It doesn't mean you're going to have a career like Leonardo DiCaprio. And again, just because you were in a big movie, like let's put it this way. Nobody out there thinks that Avatar made $2.6 billion because Sam Worthington was starring in it. And no disrespect to Sam Worthington. I like Sam Worthington. I am Team Worthington. I'm a fan of Sam Worthington. I am. But let's call it what it is, right? The majority of people did not run out and buy their tickets for Avatar and make it the highest grossing box office film of all time because of Sam Worthington. So that wasn't really going to do anything for him. And then Terminator Salvation was just a rotten movie. So that's not going to do anything for him either. Look, he's still working. He still gets roles. He's going to be in the next upcoming Avatar film. So don't feel bad about Sam Worthington. But it's not a matter of, okay, it's like me saying this. I've got this friend of mine. Her name's Sharon, sorry. Sharon, and this is a true story. Sharon, like many other people, came to LA to pursue their dream of acting. So, and it didn't work out for her. Like 99.9999999% of people who move to Hollywood to pursue their dream of acting, it doesn't work out for. You don't ask the question, well, what went wrong? Why didn't she become a big star? Well, because 99.99999% of people, it doesn't. The question would be, why would it? You know? And I think, Vrinder, when we talk about like names that we know, we just think that they're all just entitled to big, humongous careers when they still fight and claw and scratch. That's why these people have agents. Like they pay these agents ridiculous amounts of money to fight and claw and scratch for them, trying to get them roles. There are very, very few Leonardo DiCaprios out there or Ryan Goslings who can just pick and choose whatever it is they want to be in. Even some of the biggest names out there fight and scratch and claw to get the roles they want. You know, it's tough. And the question is not, well, why didn't he become a big A-list star? It's like the same reason that it doesn't for most people. You know what I'm saying? But it's natural. That's just the way we kind of think. We think along those lines. Next up, Oscar Flores writes, when can we expect another video game cutscene movie review? And what game? Might I suggest The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, although it might be too long. I don't mind how long they are. But, you know, I prepped one for Detroit Become Human. And then I just didn't feel like doing it. I mean, it was an 8-hour thing that I watched. I binged an 8-hour cutscene movie that puts in all the relevant gameplay into it, that tells story and narrative and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I just didn't feel like doing it. So I don't know. You know, I'll be honest with you. I'm not completely sure that that I'm going to do any more. Just because, like, none of them have ever gotten big views for me. So I'm not really sure they're worth the 10 hours it takes to watch them, prep it, record it, edit it, all that kind of stuff. I'm not quite sure it's worth the 10 or 11 hours to do them, to then throw them up online. So yeah, not sure. I'm not really sure. I'm not saying I've decided not to do any more of them. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I'm wondering about it. I'm thinking about it at this point. So I'll let you know. As soon as I know, I will let you know. Let's see. Sam Fisher writes, did you watch Cloak and Dagger? And if you did, what did you think? I thought it was great. The characterization and the themes in the story were excellent. I'm not going to comment too much here, Sam, because like I said at the top of the show, I have watched the first 2 episodes because I believe they just released the first 2 episodes at once. I've watched the first 2 episodes. I'll go so far as to say I like it. It's better. They're better than I thought. I will save the rest of my thoughts, though, for my actual review. And hopefully I'll get my review up tonight if I can. If not tonight, then tomorrow. So keep your eyes open for it. I will be putting up my thoughts on Cloak and Dagger. Okay. Let's see here. Who's next? Timothy Platt writes, I still remember being 11 and crying when we lost the cup. Fast forward 20 years, and I'm crying again because we finally won the cup. Greatest night of my life. Yes, the Washington Capitals. You know what? I am not a Washington Capitals fan. I'm very happy watching the Pittsburgh Penguins beat up on the Capitals every single year. But I gotta say, watching the Capitals get beat up in the playoffs every single year, eventually, even though you're not a fan of them, you start to feel bad for them. And I mentioned this a number of weeks ago. I actually found myself kind of rooting a little bit for the Capitals. Just, come on, guys, just win one. Just get to that Stanley Cup final. Just win one. And I got to admit, I feel pretty good for the Capitals. I am not a Capitals fan, but I feel pretty good for them. I mean, you can't help but not. They've been such a good team for so long and never been able to get any luck in the playoffs. This year was their year. It all came together. And it was during the Pittsburgh Penguins series that you realize, you know what? There's something different about the team this year. There's something different about the Capitals this year. And all they got to do is get by the Penguins. If you can get by the Penguins, then you should be able to go on to the Stanley Cup. And they did, and I feel pretty good for them. I really do. So congratulations to all Washington Capital fans out there. Timothy Platt follows it up. Who was more relieved to lift the cup, Ovechkin or Ray Bourque? Oh, I'll say Ray Bourque. Ovechkin is a great player, but he's got a number of years left in him to go. Like, Ovechkin still has a number of years left in him to go. Ray Bourque, number 4 for the Boston Bruins. Bobby Orr. Anyway, Ray Bourque, when he finally won his cup, and unfortunately he didn't win it with the team that he spent most of his career with, the Bruins, but he was on the Avalanche at the time. He was very close to the end of his career, right? Like, let's put it this way. Had Ovechkin not won this year, he still has a number of legitimate years in front of him that he could still win one. Like, legit years. Not just holding on years, but legit years in front of him to win one. Bourque was right near the end of the career. I mean, he was still a very solid defenseman and all that kind of stuff, but he wasn't the same Ray Bourque anymore. And he was nearing the end. The window of opportunity was closing quickly. Had Bourque not won that year, I mean, obviously hindsight later on, for sure, yes. But I mean, at that moment, the thought had to be, if I don't win it now, this is probably my last chance to really have a legit chance of winning it. That's not the case with Ovechkin. So, yeah, I think the bigger relief was Bourque. Yeah, I really do. I think the bigger relief by a mile was Raymond Bourque, because I think he didn't see any more opportunity after that year. Again, hindsight's 2020, but at the time, I don't think he saw another legit opportunity to win the cup after that. Whereas Ovechkin still did. So that's why I think the bigger relief was for Ray Bourque. And for the way I talk about sports, yes, if I wasn't doing movie punditry, I would be a sports radio host. I would completely be a sports radio host. That would be my next dream job. Let's see. James Welsh writes, why does Marvel put all their shows on different networks? Why not just put them all on Netflix or other streaming services? Well, because not every network wants all their shows. Look, they put one on ABC because that's their network. Disney owns ABC, so they put one there. Hulu put in an order for Runaways, so they put it there. Remember, so it's not a matter of why do this. The question is, why wouldn't they? You produce these shows. Different people get the rights to different ones, and they produce different shows. And it's like, why does Warner Brothers have a show on Fox? Well, because that's the way it works. Sometimes certain networks want certain shows and it fits with them better. So that it just makes much more sense that way. It does make much more sense for the different shows to be distributed amongst different networks. Because the last thing I want is another fucking cinematic universe. That's the last thing I want. I'm so sick of cinematic universe, honestly. Don't get me wrong. I love cinematic universe. It's great. But I'm so sick and tired of everything's got to be cinematic universe. It drives me crazy. I love that we have Runaways on its own network on Hulu. And it doesn't have to worry about, when are they going to team up with Daredevil? Will the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show up? Is Captain Marvel going to come in and help the Runaways? Like, I'm so glad that that's not happening, that we actually have a group of heroes and they are unique to their universe. I love that. I love that. It's one of the things I'm loving about Cloak and Dagger, too. Is that we don't have to worry about how does everything else tie into it. It's nice having a cinematic universe. It's also really nice having standalone things where the characters are actually unique in their universe, rather than, another superpowered being. What's him? Let's see. He's number 4,373 on this, just in this neighborhood alone. Yawn. You know what I mean? It's nice to have both. It's nice to have some standalone shows that are unique in their universe, and it's nice to have a cinematic universe outside of that doing their own thing too. But yeah, it makes much more sense, in my opinion, for them to be spread across multiple platforms. Let's see. The number Thor writes, what are your thoughts on the Maze Runner movies, and how would you rank them from best to worst? Only one worth watching is the first one. The other two are crap. And the first one was a pleasant surprise. I thought the first one looked like crap. And then I watched it, and it's like, oh, this actually isn't a bad little movie. It's not great, but this is actually not a bad little movie. I liked it. I liked watching that movie. The other two I thought were crap. Now, the other two have their fans, and that's great. And if you like it, that's wonderful. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying you're asking me. So my opinion is 2 and 3 are crap, so I'm not even going to bother ranking them. So the only one worth watching is the first one, in my opinion. But then again, like I said, you may like the other ones, and that's totally great if you do. All right, let's keep things moving here. Let's see. Murray Reich writes, if Superman can be on Supergirl, even for 2 episodes, then why is Deathstroke an issue? Then you got the Flash issue too. Yeah, so I talked about it in the John Campea show earlier today. And I've talked about this before. Where this is coming from is Warner Brothers does something right better than Marvel does, in the sense that Warner Brothers made the correct decision to make sure they very clearly kept their cinematic universe and their television universe separate. They are 2 different universes. They do not cross over, nothing like that. They are 2 completely different universes. That is something that Marvel made a mistake with, and that is something that Warner Brothers did right. Now, of course, one of the big advantages of keeping your universes separate is that the showrunners, the TV showrunners, aren't handcuffed and creatively tied down to whatever it is they do in the cinematic universe. Like, oh, wait, we can't do that in this city because in the movies they destroyed that city. Who cares? So they don't have to worry. I'm just giving that. I know that's hyperbole, but I'm just giving that as an example, right? The TV creators are totally free to do whatever stories they want because they're not handcuffed to the cinematic universe, and vice versa. But what's the point in having separate universes, Warner Brothers, if you're going to say to the TV universe, oh, you can't use Deathstroke anymore. Why? Deathstroke's one of the best characters we have. Manu Bennett's doing a great job playing the character. Everybody loves him. Why can we not use the Deathstroke character anymore? Because we're going to have a Deathstroke in the movies now. Don't we have 2 separate universes just for such an occasion? Yeah. Don't we have Superman in the movies and in the TV shows? Yeah. Don't we have a Flash in the movies and the TV shows? Yeah. So we can use Deathstroke then? No, that would be too confusing. We're just going to have Deathstroke just in the movies and not in the TV show. What the hell kind of logic is that? It's so stupid. You do the right thing by creating 2 separate universes so your creators can be free to use the characters and to tell the stories they want to tell. But then you're going to tell them, but you can't use that character anyway because we're using him in the movies. How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense at all in the world? I am completely flabbergasted. They do something really smart by keeping their movie and television universes separate. And then they do something incredibly stupid by saying, oh yeah, but you can't use that character there because, we want to use him in the movies. Now, Batman I get. I talked about this in the show. Batman I understand because Batman is your crown jewel. Batman is your most important IP. You cannot risk that IP. You want to protect him. You want to use him just in the movies. I get that. That's fine. That's Batman. You should have thought the same way for Superman, by the way, but whatever. But Deathstroke? Come on. Just absolute lunacy. Lunacy. Lawrence RBE writes, when will studios learn not to schedule big budget movies so close together? It seems like we are heading for a repeat come November and December. Well, the thing is, we've had big movies releasing in December for a long time. Like for years now, we've had that. That's nothing too terribly new. But we are heading... Let me just bring it up here. Let me bring up the release schedule here, because this is kind of crazy. So when I look at the release schedule, this is what's happened. We've got a crazy month in December, okay? Get this. In December, okay, we've got on Friday the 16th, okay? Friday the 16th of December, we got Fantastic Beasts and we've got Widows, and that new trailer looks awesome. The very next week, on Wednesday the 21st, okay? Sorry, that's November. Let me go into December. But first of all, actually, sticking on November, the week of November 21st, all on the same day, we got Creed 2, Wreck-It Ralph, and Robin Hood, all coming out on November 21st. Creed 2, Wreck-It Ralph 2, and the new Taron Egerton Robin Hood, all coming out on November 1st. That's nuts. Okay, now we move into December. Get this. So, on Friday, December 14th, we've got the new Peter Jackson-produced film Mortal Engines and Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse. And then the very next week, okay, so on the 14th, Mortal Engines, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The very next week, you've got all opening on the same day, Alita Battle Angel, Aquaman, Bumblebee, and the Ferrell and John C. Reilly comedy Holmes and Watson. Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly's Holmes and Watson, Bumblebee, Alita Battle Angel, and Aquaman all opening on the same day. On the same day. Just 1 week after Mortal Engines and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And by the way, the week after that, you got Mary Poppins, y'all. You got Mary Poppins. I'm just still flabbergasted. Like, forget about the 3-week span. I'm still just completely shocked at that 1 week, December 21st. Alita Battle Angel, Holmes and Watson, Aquaman, and Bumblebee all on the same day. What are you going to go watch? Because the Bumblebee trailer is pretty good. I'm going to see that. Obviously, I love Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I'm going to be seeing Aquaman. Just because of the source material, I'm curious. I didn't like the trailer, but because of the source material, I'm totally down for Alita Battle Angel. And Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly together in a Sherlock Holmes movie? Of course I want to see all of these. To differing degrees, but these are all opening on the same day. That's nuts. there's plenty of weeks in the year. There are plenty of weeks in the year. 52 weeks. They got to learn to spread these out a little bit more. Okay, let's move on here. The number Thor writes, if Stipe Miocic beats Daniel Cormier and Brock Lesnar leaves WWE to go to UFC again, could we see a Stipe Miocic versus Brock Lesnar title fight, and who would win in your opinion? Oh, Stipe will kill Brock Lesnar. Are you kidding me? Brock Lesnar is truly one of the baddest men alive. He is. He is legit scary monster. But he is not an elite UFC fighter anymore. Yeah, he beat Mark Hunt. Yes, he beat Randy Couture. Yes, he beat a lot of guys. But, I think he's really close to 40 now. Let me just bring this up here. Brock Lesnar age. He's 40. Brock Lesnar's 40 years old. He's going to be 41 here pretty soon. So he's still a big monster. He could still wipe out 99.5% of any other human being on the face of the planet. He'd still wipe out a lot of UFC fighters. Brock Lesnar would mow down a lot of legit UFC fighters, but he cannot beat the elite UFC fighters. Not the elite heavyweight UFC fighters, at any rate. Stipe is a great wrestler. He is a master striker. And those are the guys that Brock has had his most problems with. Really good strikers. He struggles with people who are really good strikers. And he also struggled against a guy who could sort of checkmate Brock's wrestling a little bit. Cain Velasquez, right? Cain is also a national collegiate wrestler. So he was able to keep Brock's wrestling in check. Now, I'm sure if they had just a pure wrestling match, Brock would win, but he was able to keep Brock's wrestling in check, and then he was just the vastly superior striker. Stipe can keep Brock's wrestling in check, and Stipe will put Brock's lights out. There's a reason Stipe Miocic is the heavyweight champion of the world. He's defended his title more times than any other UFC heavyweight champion in history. And by the way, Daniel Cormier could very well beat him. So either Cormier or Stipe Miocic would both mow the lawn with Brock Lesnar. And that's no disrespect to Brock. Just that these are the two baddest men on the planet. Brock, and here's the thing too. I think if Brock does come back, you got to give him a tune-up fight. Give him a tune-up fight against, a number 15, a number 16 ranked guy, just to shake the rust off and see if he can even compete at that level. Because if Brock can't go in there and beat a number 15 ranked guy in the world, then why should we expect that he deserves a shot at the champion? You know what I'm saying? So I think if he comes back, he gets one tune-up fight, and then they set up a title fight. If it goes well. And then he'll lose that title fight. He would lose that fight to either Stipe Miocic or to Daniel Cormier. So we'll see how that all kind of turns out. Sorry, guys. You get me talking about UFC. I can just talk on and on and on for a while. Let's see. ZOMG Ruler writes, I just want to say thank you for saving my life. Is that a quote from Batman vs. Superman? Lois Lane, I want to say thank you for saving my life when she's naked in the bathtub. I think you're quoting Batman vs. Superman. Murray Reich writes, it's nice to see that Warner Brothers wants to make a Leto / Birds of Prey / Suicide Squad 2, but no one goes to see them, meaning the trajectory number keeps going down. What's the point? Well, I mean, you can't say the trajectory is all going down, right? The movie before Batman vs. Superman was Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman was the second biggest DCEU movie at the box office. Batman vs. Superman was the biggest DCEU movie at the box office. Wonder Woman's the second biggest. And it came right before. However, Justice League was a referendum. Justice League was supposed to be the biggest, the most important. It was supposed to be the crown jewel of the DCEU. It was DC's answer to the Avengers. What happens when the Avengers got together for the first time and had their first team-up movie? Movie made $200 million opening weekend and went on to make like $1.6, $1.7 billion at the box office. What happened when DC got all their heroes together for their first big movie? Movie didn't even make $100 million opening weekend, and it crawled into about $650 million worldwide. And that's fine, except this movie was supposed to be, this is a movie with Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Cyborg and Aquaman and Flash and all of them together in one big movie. And what it turned out to be was a referendum by the audience. Like, if after Wonder Woman, they put out a Flash movie, right? And Flash struggled. Oh well, it's just the Flash movie. It's not like it was the Justice League. I think we all could have sat back and said, okay, yeah, nobody went to go see Flash. That's not necessarily a referendum on the DCU. That doesn't say anything about how the audience is looking at the entire DC universe, because just the last movie was Wonder Woman, blah, 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 blah. But this wasn't the Flash. This was Justice League. I really do wonder how much interest is left in the general movie-going audience to see these DCU films. That's why I'm constantly asking for them to reboot it. You reboot, the audience forgives. And the audience has shown rebooting works. Audiences will come back and give your universe a new shot if you start it over. We've seen that happen. It's happened with some success in the past. That's why I think that's what they should do. So, I don't know. I mean, look, I've said this before. I'm very curious. I like Jared Leto's Joker, so I am curious to see that movie. A Martin Scorsese, Joaquin Phoenix, like Joker movie in a different universe, I'm also curious to see that movie. Not much interest in Birds of Prey, to be honest. Not terribly excited about a Suicide Squad 2 either, but there's a couple of these projects I am legit interested in, but that doesn't change the fact that the good business decision really is here to just scrap it and restart the universe, reboot it. We'll see how much wisdom they have. All right, KW Garrett writes, there are so many cringe-worthy lines in Star Wars prequels, it's hard to enjoy them. Example, I deeply, truly love you, Anakin. Is Disney allowed to redo these films? Nah, I mean, look, here's the thing. You all know I hate the prequels, but as much as I dislike the prequels, I will stand up and defend the prequels that they cannot be remade. Unless you're rebooting the whole universe, you cannot remake the prequels, and you cannot pretend like they don't exist in canon. I don't like them. I hate them. I wish they never existed. But the fact of the matter is they do exist, and they are canon, and they are part of the Star Wars lore. You cannot change them. I hate them, but I will stand in their defense and say you cannot change them. You cannot wipe them out of canon. You cannot do any of that because they are canon. They are true history to Star Wars. You have to leave them alone. You know, it's like that drug-addicted uncle in your family that nobody likes to talk about. Oh, Uncle Mark. But he's family. He might be an embarrassment to your family, but he's family, and you take care of your family. The prequels are your drug-addicted loser Uncle Mark. They're an embarrassment to the family, but they're family. And so if they're in trouble, you gotta back them up if they're in trouble, because they're family. They're an embarrassment. They still live in your grandmother's basement. They're addicted to drugs. They can't hold down a job, but they're family. So you gotta back up family, and that's kind of my whole overall view of the Star Wars prequels. The number Thor writes, what makes more at the box office, Venom or Aquaman? I'm gonna guess Venom, not because I don't think Aquaman can do any good, not at all. I think Aquaman will do all right. I just think people are going to be more curious than we're giving. I think the general audience is going to be more curious about this Venom movie than we're giving it credit for right now. I think the general audience is going to be more curious about Venom than we're giving them credit for right now. Now, don't get me wrong. Venom is not going to open to $130 million or anything like that. It's going to open south of $100 million. So is Aquaman. But I do think Venom, and I think they'll both be okay. They'll both be fine. I think Venom might make a little bit more. Don't know that for sure. We'll have to wait and see. But I think both of these films will be fine, though. I think they'll both do okay. Neither one of them are going to blow the doors off any box office or anything like that. But I think they'll both do all right. So we'll just have to wait and see. The Impossible Something. Where'd it go? Where'd the impossible something go? There we go. The impossible something writes, if a Harry Potter reboot is ever made, would you rather see a live-action TV series, a Burton-style animation, oh god no, or live-action films again, or other? Live-action films. Live-action films. I'll always pick live-action film over anything else. And by the way, I'm not a Potterhead, so it's not like I have a huge vested interest in it, but I would say I'd be much more inclined to be interested to see it in a thing. I'm not a fan of Tim Burton or his animation. So that strikes that one out, and I don't think it would work very well on TV. I don't think that TV is the best place for it. I think movies are the best place for it. So I'm going to go movies. That's what I'm going to stand with, movies. I'd be more interested in seeing Harry Potter rebooted as films. Not that I'm saying they should reboot Harry Potter yet. I'm not saying that, but if you're going to ask me if they are rebooting it and I got those three options, I'm going to go with option movies. That's what I'm going to go with. Let's see. Nathan Oswald writes, what will the title be for the new Halloween? Since it's a direct sequel to the original, it can't just be titled Halloween as it is in the trailer. Sure it can. They can call it whatever they want. They can call it Star Wars if they want. Well, no, they'll get sued. But you know what I'm saying. They can, if they just want to call it Halloween, they can call it Halloween. They can call it whatever they want to call it. And I'm not hearing anybody anywhere saying they're confused. No one anywhere is saying they're confused. So it's not creating an issue. So they want to call it Halloween. They think that's the best marketing play. They can call it Halloween. They've already got official posters out with Halloween on it. That's the title. The title of the movie is Halloween. They might change it. Sure, they may. But it's their movie. They can call it whatever they want. So I have a feeling they're just going to stick with Halloween. I really do. Chris Warden writes, they can piss in a jar and call it Aunt Granny's Sweet Tea, or whatever the line from Batman vs. Superman is. Chris Warden writes, Romero just missed weight again? And the middleweight title fight is off. So, you freaking kidding me? Hold a second. Let me pull this up. What? Okay, look, let me go on an MMA rant here for a second. All right. Oh, son of a... Okay, let me go off on a rant here about mixed martial arts for a second, okay? But this goes for boxing and everything else too. This whole thing of weigh-ins needs to stop, all right? Because what happens is, let's say the weight limit's 155. All they do is cut weight, because they do the weigh-ins the day before the fight, right? All these guys do is then cut weight, dangerously cut weight, like to their health, dangerous, and then come in at 155 the day before. But then the next day, they put 12 pounds back on, or whatever. This has got to stop. How do you stop it? It's simple. You do the weigh-in 3 hours before they fight. If you're not a 155-pound fighter, then don't fight at 155. If you walk around at 178, you got no business fighting at 155. 155 should be for fighters who are 155. 205 should be for fighters who weigh in at 205. Do the weigh-ins the day of the fights and you get rid of this problem. Then guys are just going to have to fight at the weight classes that their bodies are actually at. Because you can't just burge off 15 pounds for a weigh-in, because if you got to fight 3 hours later, you'll have no energy left and you'll get your ass kicked. So that means you got to fight at a weight class that's actually close to your weight class. Get rid of these weighing in the day befores, because that gives them 24 hours to recover from a weight cut. If you want to get rid of weight cutting, then just put the weigh-ins 3 hours before their fight. If you make the weigh, just says, hey, we're making sure you are truly a 155 fighter. Good. Step on the scales. 155. Perfect. Get rid of this nonsense, because then what you get was these, it's like Yo Romero, Romero situations, who he just thinks, yeah, hey, I'm fighting at, what were they fighting at? Middleweight, right? So they're fighting at what? 185? I think they fight at middleweight. Anyway, so he's fighting at 185, but he walks around at 212. So he goes into a 2-day starvation thing where he threatens the health of his own body to get down to 185 just for that one weigh-in, and then puts on another 12 pounds in 24 hours. I mean, it's stupid. Just weigh them in 3 hours before the fight and you get rid of all these problems. And it will force the fighters to fight at their actual weight. Make the fighters fight at their actual weight? What a crazy idea! If you're walking around at 225, you should not be fighting at 205. All right? Fight at heavyweight. If you walk around at 210, great. You can lose 5 pounds, make weight, and you're a 205 fighter. Anyway, I could go on about this for hours. It seems with all the debate going on about weight cutting and all these stupid theories that people throwing out, the simplest one is right in front of your face. Weigh them in the day of the fight so they are forced to fight at their actual weight. Anyway, I just don't, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills or something. Anyway, damn it! I was so looking forward to that card. Anyway, okay. I'm legit pissed. Anyway, Kevin Brown writes, trailers have become such a cinematic thrill the last couple of years. I love watching people's reactions to anticipated blockbusters. Would it help or hurt to ever have an award for best cinematic trailer? They do. They have awards for that. They have, I'm trying to remember what it was. As a matter of fact, Black Panther just won, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Black Panther won the such and such organization's trailer of the year. So they do have awards for that. Now, if you're talking about should they make an Oscar for that? No, the Oscars are about the movies. The Oscars are not about the marketing. Every Oscar is directly connected to the making of the movie, not the marketers who come in and whip together a trailer. They have awards for that, but not Oscar awards, nor should they be. Every Oscar is about the movie themselves, not about marketing for the movie. So no, there should never be Oscars for the marketing. But they do have marketing awards for, like I said, Black Panther just won. The team behind the marketing for Black Panther just won the award. So you can go look that up. I can't remember the exact name of the organization off the top of my head right now. Sorry, I'm still pissed off about this Yoel Romero thing. Anyway, Hudson Smith writes, hey, John, have a date tonight. What's a good action movie you'd recommend for the occasion? That you're watching out or in? If you're watching in, a great action movie for a date is also one that comes with humor. Go classic, go True Lies. It's funny. It's got romance in it between, the Jamie Lee Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's got a lot of laughs, some great action. If you're looking for a good action film to watch with a date, I always suggest doing one that's also got a good dose of humor. So I think the one to go for that I would recommend is True Lies. It is my personal all-time favorite action film, so I don't think you can go wrong with True Lies. Dan Koklock writes, I would listen to you quote the Star Wars prequels all day. So much. We must move quickly to disrupt all communications down there. Yeah, nothing wrong with that whatsoever, right? Oh my gosh, those movies are so bad. Okay, Steve Mattern writes, what are your thoughts on Detroit Becoming Human? I really like Connor's story. I like it very much. And the way I describe, it's a video game, but you can watch the movie, the cutscene movie. It's 8 hours long. It's crazy long, but it is a blend of Westworld, Handmaid's Tale, and Gladiator. Connor, who I think Connor's the main one, right? The guy who is the android of the artist. He has a very Gladiator story. A very, very Gladiator story where, in Gladiator, right? You have Maximus who was beloved by Caesar, but Caesar had a son. And Caesar decided to pass everything on to Maximus. When the son found out about that, the son killed Caesar before he could make his wishes known, and Maximus is then banished. There's a very Gladiator feel to that character. Then you got this female character's role, whose very much thing is Handmaid's Tale. She's seen as property. She's a servant. Then, she cares for this child. She wants to escape to Canada. It's all very Handmaid's Tale. And then, of course, it's all very much like there's very, very heavy doses of themes of Westworld in there as well. So it's an amalgamation of a lot of different things, and I enjoyed it. I did. I enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was put together very, very well. Let's see. Grumps Videos writes, advice on advertising a small YouTube channel. None. I've never advertised. I have never advertised. I never advertised the movie blog. I never advertised, well, I didn't have to do a lot of advertising with AMC, granted, but I have never advertised. So I have absolutely zero advice to give on advertising for a small YouTube channel because I have myself never done advertising. That's not to say that I don't think advertising is not a good thing. Maybe it is for some people. I'm not saying it's not. But as somebody who has never done any advertising, you're asking the wrong guy for advice. Like, you might as well ask me, John, any advice for fixing the carburetor on a 1974 Corvette? Spray water on it? I mean, that's about the best advice you're going to get from me. So I am the wrong guy to ask, Rob. I mean, the best thing to do is search online for some good advice. I would just have none to give. I'm useless to you that way. Dark Horizons 211 writes, just finished watching Impulse, the YouTube Red. It's a bit slow and probably not worth watching, but I may be wrong. What do you think of the trailer short? I honestly have no idea what we're talking about. I have no idea what we're talking about here whatsoever. Let me get my chair up off this lip. I have no idea. I've never heard of it, so I certainly have never seen a trailer for it, so I can't really offer any input on that. Sorry about that, man. Maurice Cook writes, hey, John, say DC and Marvel do a crossover movie. Do you want to be in movies, and who do you want in it? Why? No, I do not want that at all. It would be a mess, stupid, garbage idea of a movie. It would be ridiculous. So, I mean, I've been saying that for 10 years. People always ask, John, if Marvel and DC do a movie, I go, I'll stop you right there. I have no desire to ever see that happen. None. Zero. Zilch. I do not want that. I have no interest in that. It would turn out to be a bad high school students YouTube movie. That's what it would end up being. So I have no desire whatsoever to see Marvel DC crossover. I like both of their universes in their own universes, all by themselves. Thank you very much. So, Maurice, yeah, let me stop you right there. I have no desire to see that whatsoever. None. So I can't really offer any input on that. I am the wrong guy to ask about that because I don't want anybody in it. I do not want that thing to exist. I don't. I think it would be just a horrible, convoluted mess that's nothing but fan pandering. It would just be nothing but fan pandering and just a terrible, terrible idea. So, nope, don't want it at all, as a matter of fact. Alex Von Gollum writes, hey, John, I was indifferent to the MCU, knew basics from cartoons, got into it with Doctor Strange, so I had to study for Infinity War with 10 movies. My preparation paid off far more than what I ever thought. Truly a culmination movie. And you look, here's the real genius of Infinity War is the fact that I still really feel there's probably, if you watch just 3 MCU movies, you're probably fine watching Infinity War. You don't need to watch the first Iron Man or Iron Man 2. You don't really need to watch the first Thor. You don't really need to see the first Captain America. You don't really need to watch Ant-Man. You don't really need to... There's a whole bunch of MCU movies that you really don't need to see. I'd say there are like 3, that if you watch these 3, you'd be perfectly fine. So part of the genius of Infinity War to me was the notion that they were able to make a movie that was a true culmination of all these films, yet you didn't need to see all those films in order to appreciate it for what it was. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Like, I'm still convinced, if you watched the first Avengers, if you watched Civil War, and if you either watched then Guardians of the Galaxy or Black Panther, either of those two, you would have been perfectly fine watching Avengers Infinity War. And yet, if you watched all the MCU films, you really feel the big giant payoff of it all. So it worked on both levels. And therein lies some of the real genius of that movie and why what they accomplished with it is so impressive. And so somebody like you, who went back and watched like 10 movies, you probably got a little bit more out of it than a lot of other people. But I still firmly believe anybody who just watched like any 3 of those movies I mentioned, I'm sure they probably got more than enough out of the movie as well to appreciate it for what it was. So it works on both levels. And not many universes, not many franchises can pull that off. And yet they did. And they pulled it off real well. So, Alex, I'm glad you had a chance to get caught up on that. I'm glad you were able to go in and watch Infinity War and appreciate it on that level. That's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. All right. Just got a few minutes left here, guys. Mr. Film writes, got a new job. I'm assistant to the regional manager. I'm assistant regional manager. No, you are the assistant to the regional manager. All right. I'm going to start calling Mr. Film Dwight. But that is, if you did truly get a new job, then that's awesome. Anytime somebody gets a job, man, that's a cause to celebrate. All right, Manuel Castro writes, who do you have in the UFC fights tomorrow? Well, not Yoel Romero, apparently, because Yoel Romero crapped the bed. Let me look up the rest of the card here. I don't have Dos Anjos at all. It's funny, the front page of the UFC's fight is still highlighting the Whitaker-Romero fight. Give me a break. Okay. Dos Anjos versus Covington. I'm actually going to take Covington. I'm going to take Holm over Anderson. And I'm going to take Arlovsky. I know that's weird, but I've been a fan of Andrei Arlovsky forever and ever and ever. CM Punk. I'm going to take CM Punk over Jackson. Oddly enough. I'm going to take Overeem is going to win his fight. Esperanza, who got her ass kicked in that legendary fight, but she's for real. I'm going to take her. I'm going to take Lamas, Coulter. I've got going old school, man. I'm going Rashad Evans. I'm going to go Pettis. I'm going to go Guida. And that's, by the way, that is going to be maybe fight of the night. Clay Guida against Oliveira. That could be fight of the night. These two guys are exciting fighters. Clay Guida is nothing but pure liquefied adrenaline. That's all he is. He's amazing to watch fight. And I don't know this last fight, this Santiago versus Ige. I'm not familiar with those fighters myself, so I can't really put on. So anyway, those are my picks. I was picking Romero, but we simply do not know what's happening with that fight right now. It's just so freaking, I'm so frustrated. Let's see. Joshua Howard writes, I enjoy Battlefield. Oh, wow. Okay. All film is subjective. I enjoy Battlefield Earth. I was unaware it was considered the worst movie ever. My world was rocked when I found out. But, okay, yes. Many people, including myself, I put Battlefield Earth as one of the unholy trinity of the worst big wide release Hollywood films of all time. Battlefield Earth, Highlander 2, and Catwoman. Worst big budget wide release films of all time, in my opinion. But this is why the subjectivity of film is also the best thing about movies. Is that just because I thought it was garbage and maybe a bunch of other people do too, that does not delegitimize your enjoyment of it. Movies hit you like food hits your taste buds. You don't choose if you like it or not. You know, something with a strawberry flavor hits your taste buds and either your body likes it or it doesn't like it. You don't decide to like it. You just either do or you don't, right? So, like for me, I'm not a big fan of the taste of strawberry. I can have strawberry flavor drinks, and that's fine. But like actual strawberries, I don't like eating strawberries. So, but you don't choose what you like. And it's the same thing with movies. Like a movie is an experience. It hits you and your body experiences it a certain way. Your body, your mind experience it a certain way. And there's nothing, no matter what I say about a movie, no matter what anybody else says about a movie, if it worked for you, then it worked for you. And you don't need to apologize for that. You don't have to feel sorry for that. And you don't have to be ashamed of it. Although I got some movies I'm pretty ashamed to say that I like, but you don't have to be ashamed of it. You liked Battlefield Earth. A lot of us didn't. But that doesn't matter. You enjoyed it. And that's a good thing because they put a lot of effort and money in that movie. I'm glad somebody out there enjoyed it. And that's the subjectivity of film, brother. And you and I can debate the merits of it, and I can argue that it sucks, and you can argue that it's great and all that kind of stuff, and we can have fun debating and discussing. But at the end of the day, It worked for you. Great. It worked for you. Doesn't change the fact that it didn't work for me or a lot of other people, but it worked for you. You don't need to apologize for that. You don't need to feel sorry for that. You need to celebrate that. You saw a movie and you got some joy out of it. That's the most important thing, man. So I'm glad that you did. Juan Absent Good writes, you watch Hotel Artemis. It was just horrible. I have not seen it. I wanted to go last night. Or no, I wanted to go tonight to see like a double header of like Hotel Artemis, Hereditary, maybe squeeze in one more, but I got to go do that Tom Hanks thing with my wife. But I'm not hearing great things, which sucks because I've been really excited about this movie. I have been really excited about this movie. So I'm having my heart broken a little bit because I'm not hearing good things about it. But I'm sure I'll check it out myself this weekend sometime. All right. John K. writes, we're almost out of time here, guys. John K. writes, every time I get stuck in traffic on the commute home, I can't help but think that Thanos was right. Can I tell you this too? Anne read a tweet this morning. I can't remember who wrote it, but she read, like we're laying in bed in the morning. You know, both of us will say good morning to each other, give each other a kiss, and then I'll grab my tablet, she'll grab her phone, we'll just check our messages, blah, blah, blah. And Anne just starts giggling laying in bed this morning. I'm like, what is? She goes, I just read the funniest your mama joke. I'm like, okay, what's the joke? She read this. Your mama's so fat, Thanos had to snap twice. And I don't know why, but I laughed like an idiot when she read that. Yo mama's so fat, Thanos had to snap twice. I got a big kick out of that myself. But oh my God, dude, I tell you what. So I had to go see Jurassic World the other day. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, right? So me and my buddy, the theater was about 14 or 15 miles away, right? 14, 15 miles away. We left an hour and a half early to get there. And we got there right on time. Like right on time. It took us an hour and a half to go 15 miles. That is life in Los Angeles, my friends. That is life in Los Angeles. So believe me, I feel you. I feel you when you say sometimes you feel like Thanos is right when you're sitting in some traffic. Believe me, my brother, I know. Let's see. Josh DeRose writes, did you hear that Pokémon recently usurped Star Wars as the most valuable franchise? What factors has most attributed to the franchise's longevity? Well, I mean, it really depends on in what way are you talking. I don't know who's equating that and by which criteria. I'm sure there's criteria you can use that if you look at certain criteria it is, but I would never buy that for a second. But what's the last part thing? What factor has most attributed to the franchise's longevity? Pokemon? I mean, I don't know. To me, it's never been very popular in any circles I was in. I mean, for a short period of time what was that Pokemon game where everybody was playing it where you had to walk and capture animals with your virtual phone or whatever? That was hot for a day or two. And by a day, I mean months, but I don't know anybody that plays it anymore. I don't know anybody that watches Pokemon. Now, granted, that's just in my circles. My circles are not the only circles. But I just don't see how it's that popular. It's surprising. It's surprising. C.K. Gould writes, it will never happen in film. Mike Myers versus Batman. What do you think? Cheers. Well, Batman. I mean, Batman beat Superman. So Batman will beat Mike Myers. Actually, come to think of it, Myers wouldn't pose much of a threat to Batman at all. He's slow. Yeah. I mean, against other regular human beings, sure. But against Batman? No, I think Batman would make pretty quick work of Myers. I don't really see that, even as a fantasy fight, I don't see that being much of a challenge for Batman, to be honest. I mean, what's more is to put him up against other, but you know what? Even you put him up against some other horror icons. I don't think Myers lasts long against Freddy. I don't think he lasts long against Jason. Maybe Chucky? Yeah, maybe Myers has a shot against Chucky. I'm already UFC matchmaking in my head. Supernatural serial killers matches. I think Myers could beat Chucky, and that's about it. But against Batman, I don't see him standing much of a chance, to be honest. Let's see. Dark Horizon 211. I got 1 minute left here, guys. Dark Horizon 211 writes, don't forget to see Upgrade this weekend. Definitely want to see your review on it. I'm not going to be doing a review for it, unfortunately. Also, try for your comments Also, oh, thank you for your comments the other day for the five movie. It made my day. I'm not quite sure what it is we're talking about, but whatever I said to make your day brighter, I'm glad I did. Yeah, I'm not going to be, unfortunately, since I didn't have a chance to see Upgrade quickly enough, I'm not going to review it. It's once a movie's been in theater for 3 or 4 days already, there's no point in reviewing it, so I'm not going to review it. I'll probably talk about it casually on my show come Monday. I'll probably talk about it casually here or there, but I probably won't be doing a full review of it, unfortunately. But I am desperate to see Upgrade. Everybody is raving about this movie. I cannot wait to watch it. Gabe Campbell writes, do you think we will ever see Alden Ehrenreich as Solo again? Because I think Lucasfilm should use him again because he's really fantastic. Well, okay, yes, he's great in the role, but just because he's great in a role doesn't mean that's the wrong reason to make a movie. Oh, he's great in a role. Let's build a movie around that. No. The movies are not there to serve the characters. The characters are there to serve the movies. Fact of the matter is, Solo is a complete total wash financially. It's a good movie, but it's a complete total wash financially. So, no, I don't think they're going to use him again. I don't think you're going to see a young Han Solo again. If they ever do, they'll use Alden Ehrenreich. For sure they will. But I do not think you're ever going to see young Han Solo again. I could be wrong about that. Absolutely, I could be wrong about that. But my gut feeling right now is that we're never going to see a young Han Solo again. If they do, they will absolutely use Alden Ehrenreich. No doubt. But I just don't see them using the character again. I really don't. Darth Impact writes, hey, John, Warner Brothers locking up Greg Berlanti to a big deal got me thinking, do you think they're grooming him to take over the DCU in the future? No, absolutely not. Somebody asked me that question earlier today on the John Campea show. Greg Berlanti has no business touching the cinematic universe. Like, look, I'm a fan of Arrow, at least certain seasons. I'm a fan of The Flash, this last season notwithstanding. I like Black Lightning very much. They work within the context of a cheesy CW universe. In that context, those shows really work. Most of the time. Some of the time. But when they work really well and they're very enjoyable. You just got to tune the frequency to your brain to understand I'm watching cheesy CW, and in that context, on that platform, it works great. If you try to pass off any of those things on the big screen, people would riot. They would be garbage. It would come across as absolute garbage. So, no, I think they're not grooming him for the DCEU whatsoever, because his interpretation of stuff would be garbage on the big screen. I think they gave him that big deal because it's successful for them on TV. They're going to keep him in TV. I think they're going to keep him in TV. That's where they're having big success with him. They just put a $300 million investment into production for more shows from him. And remember, he didn't get $300 million. That $300 million is a commitment for production on other ideas and developing properties. I think he's going to be very successful there, and I think he'll continue to be successful there. But that success is why they won't move it over to the big screen. At least I don't think they will, and it would be a massive mistake if they did. Luna Comics writes, John, I'm graduating tomorrow. What is the best movie to watch in celebration? Ooh, graduating. Well, first of all, congratulations. That's awesome. Best movie to watch graduating. Gosh. Back to School. The old Back to School movie. That would be pretty good. I'm trying to think of a good graduation film. Hold on a second. I'm trying to think... I'm trying to think of some other good ones. Oh, you know what would be a good one? Superbad. I think Superbad would be a pretty good one to celebrate graduating. I think that would be a fun one to do. Superbad would be a pretty good one to do. So yeah, I'll go with Superbad, or Back to School. Those ones are pretty work. Tasty Waffle. Well, where'd it go? Wow. Okay, so Tasty Waffle writes, Lawrence of Arabia is my favorite film. Do you like that movie? Oh, it's in my top 10 all-time favorite films, Lawrence of Arabia. It's amazing. It's iconic. It's classic. I always talk about that. When I list my top 10 favorite movies of all time, Lawrence of Arabia is in there. Mr. Peter O'Toole, R.I.P. Man, one of the greatest actors of all time. I loved Peter O'Toole. I love that movie. It's just one of the all-time best. And if you haven't watched, it's one of those films that if you are a film fan, you got to watch that one. Like, there's certain films you got to watch. You got to watch Citizen Kane. You got to watch Ben-Hur, the original. You got to watch The Godfather. You got to watch Lawrence of Arabia. You got to watch Lawrence of Arabia. It's amazing. So absolutely fantastic. I'm glad you brought it up. Michael Dillon writes, Warner Brother did it with Suicide Squad in Arrow too. Yeah. So they had a version of Suicide Squad in Arrow. They have a version of Suicide Squad in the movie. Because you can do that because you have two separate universes. I just don't understand their thinking, man. I just don't understand their thinking here. Dirk Diggler writes, hi, John. Is now the time to tell the Warner Brothers executives to change the release date for Aquaman? Oh, man. I think all those movies opening on that exact same day have got to be thinking about it. I mean, they want that. They want that prime Christmas vacation era. A lot of people go to the movies during Christmas vacation. So, I mean, that's a prized ground, but there's just too many. Alita Battle Angel, Aquaman. I mean, 4 big movies all on the same day. Somebody's got to move. Somebody's got to move. Because all 4 of these movies are in trouble if nobody moves. Somebody's got to just get out of that spot. All right, last question of the day, and then I've got to cut it off, guys. Sorry, I've been going overtime here. Santez Henderson writes, John, what you say about the prequels is very offensive to loser uncles. That said, I actually like the story in the prequels, but the execution stinks. Here's the funny thing, Santez. I've been saying this for years. You write out a 2-page outline for The Phantom Menace, and then a 2-page outline for Attack of the Clones, and a 2-page outline for Revenge of the Sith. You would think you got the makings for some good movies. The basic bones are there. The basic bones for some really good story are there in a 2-page outline of each one of those movies. They're just executed horrendously. And it's all the stuff they've built around those bones that just ruined it. Because I will still contend, as much as I do not like the prequels, you've got the bones there of some good storytelling. If you broke it down into just a 2-page outline, like if George Lucas had written a 2-page outline for Phantom Menace and then hired a writer to write the screenplay for it and then let another director direct it, you could have ended up with some really good movies. That's just how I kind of feel about it. Okay, guys, sorry, I've gone overtime already, but if I didn't get around to your question, don't worry. I'm going to copy it, paste it. I will get around to your question on the next companion video. So hang tough, and I will get around to those. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me. My name is John Campea. Thanks for being here, and until next time, bye-bye.